For years, I've seen this hidden force at play in our social lives. It's this powerful current that kind of governs attraction in ways that most people, well, they just never see it. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain on one of the most powerful and honestly, most misunderstood principles of human connection. Let's dive in.
It's a question you've probably asked yourself, right? A paradox you've definitely seen with your own eyes. You have a person who's single, and for whatever reason, they seem to fly completely under the radar. And then, bam, they get into a relationship, and suddenly everyone's interested. Why does that happen? We're about to break down the psychology behind that exact scenario.
All right, first things first, let's really explore how this whole thing plays out in the real world. You can think of it like an invisible signal, one that completely changes how someone is perceived. It's a paradox that, trust me, once you get it, you're going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere.
I mean, we've all seen this story unfold. Maybe we've even been the main character in it, right? It's so common, it's basically a staple in our movies and TV shows. But this isn't some Hollywood script. It's a direct reflection of a really deep-seated psychological reality.
So to really get a grip on this, let's just isolate the key variable. I want you to imagine the exact same person, but we're going to place them in two totally different social situations. Now the person themselves, they haven't changed. Their humor, their charm, their looks, it's all the same. But the situation, that's what's changed. And that changes everything.
Okay, so in scenario one, this person is on their own, maybe at a party or a bar. They're interesting, they're smart, they're attractive, but for some reason they just don't seem to be grabbing much attention. It's almost like they're broadcasting on a frequency that nobody is tuned into.
Now, let's take that exact same person, same party, but this time they're with a partner. They're laughing, they're engaged, they're clearly valued by someone else. You can feel the dynamic shift almost instantly. All of a sudden, they become a magnet for attention. Other people start approaching them, their perceived value just skyrockets. So what is actually going on here?
So look, this isn't just random luck or some weird coincidence. Nope, it's a predictable psychological trigger. And it's about time we put a name to this phenomenon and decode what's really happening inside our brains when we see it.
The term for this is pre-selection, and it's a simple but really profound idea that we often, we outsource our initial judgment of a person's value. The simple fact that someone else has already selected them acts as this incredibly powerful form of social proof.
And listen, this isn't just some casual observation I've made. It's a principle that's backed by a lot of research in evolutionary psychology. This quote here really gets right to the heart of it. The interest of others acts as a mental shortcut, what scientists call a heuristic, that signals high quality. It basically saves us all the time and effort of doing that deep investigation ourselves.
Okay, so we know what it is. We've even given it a name. But why do our brains work this way? I mean, what's the reason? To get that, we need to look under the hood, at the evolutionary programming that's driving these behaviors that seem so modern. This is what we call the genetic shortcut.
You know, our brains are fundamentally wired for efficiency. They're designed to save energy. And to navigate the crazy complexities of our social world, we rely on these mental shortcuts, these heuristics. They let us make super fast judgments without having to do a deep, time-consuming analysis of every single person or situation we encounter. In pre-selection, it's one of the most powerful of these social shortcuts.
And this just illustrates the whole cognitive process perfectly. The input is simple. You see that a person is desired by someone else. That's it. Then, the brain's shortcut just kicks right in, making the assumption that the other person, they've already done the hard work of vetting, and their judgment is probably reliable. And the output? An instant, almost subconscious conclusion. This person must be high value.
Let's just look at this side by side. It makes it so clear. Without any social proof, a person's quality is just a big question mark. It's unknown. Figuring it out requires effort, time, and, let's be honest, social risk. But with social proof, that little stamp of approval from somebody else, their quality is suddenly perceived as pre-selected. The risk seems to drop, and the appeal just shoots up.
So here's the crucial takeaway. This all ties back to our deep evolutionary drive for survival and reproduction. Choosing a partner historically has been a really high-stakes decision. So by piggybacking on the choices of others, our ancestors could quickly identify mates who were likely to have good genes and high social standing, all without a long, drawn-out, and potentially very costly vetting process.
Now, it is absolutely critical that we frame this knowledge the right way. This is not some tool for manipulation. It's a lens for understanding. It's about recognizing the powerful and often invisible social signals that are shaping our perceptions and our interactions every single day. Real social intelligence, it starts with this kind of awareness.
So I'm going to leave you with this. Now that you can see this invisible force of pre-selection, I want you to start looking for it. And I mean really looking. Because it doesn't just apply to dating. Think about it. Why do we want to go to a crowded restaurant instead of an empty one? Why do we buy a book because it's a bestseller? Where else is the judgment of other people shaping your own perception of what has value? Once you see this pattern, you really can't unsee it.